crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play and earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And in today's video, I wanted to share a quick clip from a recent Twitch stream from this past weekend, where we talked a little bit about the rating problem currently within Splinterlands. And this conversation was one that we had just based on some of the data we had this past season, both battling within the Diamond League and also battling within the Champion League, and some of the differences that we experienced and saw within both of those leagues. I do believe there is a problem with the rating system within Splinterlands. I do feel that it needs to get looked at, and hopefully this video will encourage discussion within the community on how we can possibly move forward and address this issue. So until next time, keep stacking those stats. Can I please elaborate what is meant on ratings inflation? Yeah, so that's a good question, Chuni. I think there's been a lot of talk with using the word rating inflation and people saying there's a problem with rating inflation. And that's a little misleading, because the problem isn't with overinflations with ratings, which was a problem in the past, but actually the problem is with rating inflations, there's not enough rating at the diamond and champion level, if that makes sense. So let me elaborate. So in the past, what would happen in bronze and silver, when we had 200 to 300,000 extra bots in the economy, is bots would just bash up against each other and battle each other 24/7 when ECR wasn't regulated. So they would play like a battle like every minute, 24 hours a day in silver and bronze, and just basically trade wins back and forth. They would lose, they would win, whatever, it didn't really matter. And the way the rating worked is, or still works today, is when you get win streaks and when you get a certain, with wins, you just get rating added to your score. So over time, of the course of a season, as more battles are played, the available rating to either win or lose increases throughout the season. And what was happening in bronze and silver is there was just a ton of rating inflation happening because of bots, just running a ton of battles and generating free rating, which they would basically exchange and give to each other. So that bot farms, as well as humans as well, would climb up the ratings. That's why you would see bots that had just 1 BCXs and starter cards in silver and gold all over the place, even though they had no business being there, because they just had to win 50% of their battles. And if they're more than 50% of their battles are against other bots, not a problem. So what was happening is those bots really had no business being in silver or gold, but because of the number of battles and the number of bots, it was happening. So that was a rating inflation problem previously. Now there's been fixes obviously to ECR and fixes to discourage bots from running that has fixed the rating quote inflation problem. But now the problem that we're seeing is different for the higher levels of play. So what we have right now with rating inflation is not really a problem with too much inflation, is there's not really enough rating inflation. So what do I mean by that? I mean that once Modern and Wild split the players in, let's say, Diamond and Champion to some degree, because you really can't play actively both leagues at the same session, both Modern and Wild, essentially it cut the number of Champion and Diamond players in half. And that was already a small pool to begin with. So what it means is if you're playing in the Diamond or Champion levels to start the season, there's very few players and very few rating inflation pieces happening as part of the mathematical formula. So there's not a lot of ability for many players to climb, for example, out of Diamond 3 into Champion quickly, because there's not rating to be able to be gained. And because of that, it's better to be in Champ 2 or Champ 1 ideally, because then you only drop down in a Diamond 2 or Diamond 1 at the start of the season, which allows you to get back to Champion earlier or faster the next season, because you have less rating to actually acquire. So that's the issue right now. One of the issues, Chuny, is that there's not a lot of rating in Champion and Diamond to get at the beginning of the season, especially. But there's also another issue with rating, and I've talked about it on Twitter. I've talked about it in my videos. I've talked about it on the stream. The other issue with rating is there's just a problem with rating points. Like this individual had more rating than me, so he lost 25 rating points, and I got 50. But there's a bigger problem with rating points right now in the Diamond League, especially climbing on a diamond where you lose like 34 rating for losing to someone, let's say in Diamond 2 when you're playing in Diamond 1, but then you win against that player, you only get 10 rating points back for winning. So basically you need to win 10 battles to make up, or excuse me, you need to win 4 battles to make up for 1 loss against a lower ranked player, which essentially means you need to have a super high win rate in diamond level. You need to have essentially a higher than 75% win rate to easily climb in diamond. And I got to tell you, if we look at the ratings at the leaderboard, most champion and diamond level players don't have a 75% win rate. And lies the problem of the rating point system, which is separate than rating inflation, but it's just a calculation of ratings for wins and losses that needs to be addressed. And I'm definitely a champion to try and get that fixed and looked at, because it's definitely broken in the game right now. So what's interesting here, you see we have a 4-game losing streak here in Champion, but it hasn't hurt us terribly compared to Diamond. And here's why. This is the reason why Diamond 1 is so challenging. When you're in Diamond 1, you're playing mostly Diamond 2 and other Diamond 1 players. And the chances are, if you're at the top of Diamond 1, the chances are you're going to have a higher rating than your opponent. So if you lose, which is certainly possible, another Diamond player play another Diamond player, you're losing 34, 35 rating, usually, sometimes 24, 25. But look at our 4 losses here in Champ 3. Baku had a higher rating than us. We only lost 8 rating. Sour had a higher rating than us. We lost 5 rating. Shark Monsters here had a higher rating than us. We lost 9 rating. So 9 plus 8 is 17. We lost 23 ratings across or 22 rating across 3 losses. Where in Diamond, I'll give you an example. Like here's a loss in Diamond, 20 rating right there, just from 1 loss. So you're able to lose 3 more matches in Champ 3, and it's basically the same as losing 1 in Diamond 1. And this talks to the point where the matching system is contributing to the rating issue when you're trying to climb into Champion. It's just that hard. And anyone who hasn't experienced it really can't talk to it. Sometimes you see people saying, well, you just need to get good and play better. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you just win and never lose, you're going to climb in rating. But, here in these levels, especially in Diamond 1, everyone has max cards for the most part and is very skilled. So, again, until you've played here and felt and witnessed this kind of craziness, it's hard to really comment on it. And what I will say is, look, we're doing okay in Champion here, even though we lost 4 in a row. I guarantee you, if we lost 4 in a row in Diamond, we might even be knocked down from Diamond 1 into Diamond 2. No joke.
That's entertainment.